Okay guys, here is how you're going to finish off painting the faces for your dogs. So you can see I have an example sheet at your table that has two different dog faces. This is the face I would recommend if you're doing the larger nose. If you have a smaller nose, you can try this one here. It's a little challenging with like the teeth, but I have the bigger nose for my dog, so I'm gonna go ahead and try out this face here. And even if you have a small nose, you can still try that one out. So it's kind of like you get one shot at this, myself included. So hopefully I'll do a good job in my demonstration for you here. So you're going to have a pie pan that has water, white paint, and India ink. You're going to have a couple different brushes. You're going to have a flat head brush that looks something like this. You'll also have a fan brush, which is the one over here, and the green brushes from last week. So the green brushes are for more of a point. The fan brushes you'll see in a little bit, and this is going to be for large areas of white. So I'm going to go ahead and start painting the white in on my dog. So I'm going to come down here, and I am going to paint in strokes that come up. And you're gonna see this isn't gonna completely cover, and that's okay if it's a little bit see-through. So we still wanna be able to see the collaging kind of almost in the background. Just be careful of drips. We wouldn't wanna like drip on like our animals like eye or anything important like that. So I'm gonna paint up in between the eyes. And then I'm gonna go kind of around the nose as well, like we see here. And again, like I said, this paint is thinner, and that's okay. We just wanna see a little bit of white to kind of emphasize where the snout of the dog would be. So we have like the, kind of like the front of the snout, like the cheek area around his mouth. And then I'm going to go around on this side too. And this is going to make like a curve here. This is going to be his mouth underneath. So you want to make this as even as possible. So this one's a little short, so I need to come out on this side a little bit more. Filling this all in with the white. And you can see it kind of got on my nose a little bit, but if I wanted to, I could always go back in with the India ink afterwards. So now that I've gotten a little bit of his nose here, I'm going to work on his chin, or around his nose, I should say, his snout. So it's going to be like a curved shape for the chin. So this is where if you wanted to like leave it open and do like some of the teeth like you see on this dog, you could. For this dog, I'm going to keep it pretty well like closed up. All right, so just using this white as like a background. And then we're going to be painting the details on top with the India ink. So I'm going to come around a little bit just to neaten that up. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with my thinner brush for the India ink. I'm going to bring this closer to me because of where I am. So again, if you wanted to do any more like around the nose, if you had anything to like touch up, you could do that. I got a little bit of white on the nose a bit. If anything got a little too gray, you want to make it a little darker. Like I think I want to darken a couple little spots here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and make any markings. So the markings down from the nose that come down into the lip. And then if you wanted to add any like little marks for like little freckles, sometimes dogs have these like little freckle marks. I'm going to do that too. And you can see like a couple lines like we see here. If you wanted to add any of those like lines, I would do that with the India ink and this thinner brush. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with the fan brush. So with the fan brush, what's nice is this is going to make it really look like fur. So I'm going to dip into the India ink here, and I'm going to go around. You're just going to dip the very edge of the fan brush. So I'm going to go around, and I dripped, so you got to watch out. I'm going to spread that out a little bit here. You're going to go around, and you can do some fur marks. So I can do a little bit around like the mouth, underneath the chin a little bit, and it looks like fur. So let me fix that. So learn from my mistakes. Don't get the India ink splattered on yours. There we go. So I'll fix that later. I'll just paint some more white over it. Once it dries, I'm not going to be able to fix it for the video too much. There we go. I'll just paint white over that once it's dry. So yeah, be careful. Don't drip. So I'm going to go in with my fan brush again, and I'm going to paint around a little bit on the sides. But it's nice because the fan brush, the bristles separate, and then it makes this fur-like markings. So I'm just going to kind of go back in here. But definitely want to get around like the chin, around the mouth, with those fur-like markings. And if you wanted to do any over like on the sides, maybe like a little bit lightly, you could do that too. So I'm going to just go a little bit lighter, which means I'm not getting as much ink, and I'm pressing like a little bit lighter with my brush. Making the markings around the dog. So I might do just a little up at the top here, kind of around the eyes a bit. So the fan brush is nice because it gives that look of the fur. So just not overdoing it. Like that got a little dark. Trying to make both sides match up a little bit. So I want a little dark there, so I'm gonna finish out a little bit. Okay, so if there's anything you don't like, or if it gets a little too dark, you can always tone it down with some of like the white paint. Like if I wanted to paint over this, it'll turn gray, that's okay. Like I can gray that out a little bit and then paint over a little bit more with the white. And that'll tone that down a little too. So if you got a little too dark, remember paint, there's no eraser for paint, but you can always paint over it. So then there's my dog face.